So there's been a lot of dudes who have done all of this small acoustic space measurement of total energy density or generalized energy density, sound power measurements for large extended sources in semi-reverberant rooms. This one is more about like equipment and measuring the sound equipment makes, but this other paper 10 years before it went more into sound systems and spectral balance in semi-reverberant spaces, and that was a big jump in these two papers. But this one did invent a few more concepts like general energy density and how you can take fewer measurements to get it and still be within the realm of close. Whereas this paper talked about total energy density, where you'd have to make a definitive measurement of the whole acoustic energy in the room. But yeah, they'll talk about, a lot of the times they talk about the pressure measurement in a single space and how it's almost a one-dimensional field. But if you take enough of these single measurements, you get pretty close to the average energy of a space. And this second paper, talking more about general energy density and how you can EQ it back to a inverse minimum phase filter, which is what I use. It's also Alpine's VIR filter is actually a minimum phase filter, but with different resolution in the lower frequency bands, and they do that by downsampling for different octaves. What else? We went over a lot of this stuff just generally, and how measuring in front of the speaker yielded this guy here, measuring a plane. They sometimes call it scanning. You go like the old heating elements in a electric blanket. You go up and down, up and down, up and down, and then you go left, right, left, right, left, right. So that's a bit of what the Alpine method is using. I watched this whole video, not just this portion, because when they claim they solve timing issues, they're really mentioning that reference to minimum phase correction in the energy density, and how that can correct time, but that really is only for single speakers. So if you had two speakers with a crossover, how could that minimum phase account for, say, a change in gain between one speaker and the other? And if you set the gains differently, then the minimum phase filter would change the phase differently. So I think they're stretching it a bit with their claim of time correction. And in the whole product, you really have to set the time for every speaker yourself manually anyway. So it's really just a little bit of extra marketing jargon that they throw in. And he also mixes the setting the time for the driver and getting the center stage, and then earlier in the video he says everyone can have a perfect center stage at the same time. And so yeah, it's a little bit Alpiney, you could say. Yeah, and the last thing I wanted to say is how I accidentally discovered centerline when I was just mucking around trying to get better phase measurements, and without knowing it for several months, I actually discovered partial acoustic energy density of a volume in a semi-enclosed or an enclosed semi-reverberant space, or a semi-diffuse space, which many other people had written about and wrote theses on, and some people had tried them out in a few different commercial products some pretty small niche industries. And for the life of me, I couldn't work out why it worked so well until I actually happened to dig fairly deeply, and now I've almost got an understanding of acoustic energy density and how it actually correlates better with our human experience when we sit in a very small acoustic space. We move our head around, we don't hear comb filtering, we sort of only barely hear, phase inversions or timing differences, because we just hear the energy over time and just sort of stack it up in our little conveyor belt in our brain, so that the time gets all shuffled together and into one little understanding of the time. I still believe direct is a strong influence in our timing, but the balance and the centering and the staging, it's all got to do with that, the diffuse or semi-diffuse decay, and how things seem more equal if we measure the whole freaking front half of the cabin and not where your driver's seat is. And I don't think that this is going to take on straight away or ever, but like even the Alpine Optimate product itself, I don't even think is a left-right energy density measuring. I think they're just going for the mono energy density just to get a nice tone. They could probably confuse the hell out of their customers to make them do it twice for the left side and the right side, But once through, I think it's about all people can handle. And I think that's where it will kind of sit for, I don't know, a decade or so. So yeah, if you're out there and you're listening and you like proper center staging and you're sick of, doing your 5 mic array, 6 mic array, moving this around your head up and down, just try the whole freaking front of the cabin, and you will enjoy perfect center staging. All right, over and out.